welcome back to the Critical Reading video series. This time, the topic we are going to discuss is guiding critical questions, which are usually used to see text from critical point of view, and to disclose both explicit and implicit proposition of the text. Let's explore the questions. The first question is, what is the topic or subject matter of the text? In this question, you are expected to be able to find meaning in the text through its title. Find what is the topic of the text. For example, let's see from this opinion column in newspaper online. What we eat matters. To change climate crisis, we need to reshape the food system. Okay, here is the title of the text, and then by seeing the title as well as the picture, it gives you a clue of what this text is talking about. So there are some keywords that give you the information. First, it is climate crisis, and then food system. Beside that, if you see the text in its sides, then there is an information about what types of text. This is an opinion text within the topic of climate change. So it gives you clear clue that the topic of this text is about climate change. And the climate change itself is the topic that our eating habit will influence the environment, especially in terms of climate crisis. And then let's see the second question. Who is the writer and to whom this text is directed? So here the question highlights the role of the writer and the targeted reader of the text. Let's see from the example. When we use the same text about climate change, then we can see that who produced this text. Now in this question, we also take into account the aspect of text production, about who produced the text, who owns the newspaper, and who is the writer. Here we see that this text is published in the Guardian daily online newspaper. Then you can try to find out in which country the Guardian is published. And then we have also here the writers. Perhaps we don't know at all who are them, but you can simply find information about them by checking it in the Google. Then perhaps you can get specific information or even general information to know why they write about this, and you can think also for what purpose it is written. The third question is, where is the position of the writer towards the subject matter? Okay, the subject matter here is the topic, as we discussed in the first question. Then now we try to find out where is the position of the writer towards the subject matter. Let's see in the example. Here we get a news or an article entitled, "Yes, I'm transgender. Indonesian singer braves hostility in emotional video." Okay, let's check once again about the question, about the position of the writer. By reading the title only, can you get the clue about the position of the writer? Okay, of course it is not really fair to judge before reading the whole story. Then here you need to read the whole news to come up to a conclusion about the position of the writer. But at least there are some words that we can use as a clue to see whether the writer agree with the topic or disagree. We can see here, for example, Indonesian singer, there is braves word and emotional video, or emotional diction. What does it show? At least it shows the empathy of the writer towards the topic she's talking about. And then from the way this news is attached with this picture, it should give you additional information regarding the writer's position. Agree or disagree, pro or cons on the topic she is writing. Besides that, you can see also here that it is published in this newspaper, the Jakarta Post, and then you can guess also what is the habit of the Jakarta Post. Besides, you can also find out about the writer herself. Okay, next, the fourth question is, whose voice is silenced or heard here and why? What is meant by voice here is that it is related to whether or not the writer presents her text or his text by covering both sides or both parties in a certain issue, or she or he tends to be in one side only. It is highly related with the previous question about the writer's position. Okay, let's see from example. Here we get news from Kompas, and then this is the title, Demo Meluas, Protokol Kesehatan Terancam. Okay, this is the title, and then of course you need to read the whole news, but let's pretend that you have read the whole news, and then we come up to a conclusion that this news mostly talks about the effect of the demonstration to the COVID protocol that the government is campaigning all this time. It is good, of course, in that side, but on the other side, what voice is not heard here or silence here? What is not mentioned in this news? When this news focuses on the effect of the demonstration, how about the cause of demonstration itself? What makes the people do riots? Okay, that's about the voice silenced or heard. So in this case, mostly the voice heard is from government side, for example. Then from the worker side, it is not really exposed here. We can also see from this text. Okay, this is taken from the Health Ministry, a kind of manuals or guidance for people in this pandemic situation. At one glance, there is nothing wrong with this text or just like ads, but you can also think about other aspects. Here it is said that what should be consumed is food like this: meats, fruits, vegetables, and other main food. But who can access this kind of food? What kind of people can access or can have this food? Have we ever think about those who are financially disabled and then they cannot afford even to buy their main food? Okay, this is just a penny to consider. The next question is, what information is missing from the text? So the questions here are much interrelated one to another. You can think of the same answer, but by seeing it from different point of view. For example, when information is missing here, it is almost the same with which voice is heard and silenced. So if one voice is heard, then other voices will be silenced or missing. Check again the example. This is the news or the text that we have discussed before. Okay, it is also related to what information is missing in this text. What is the topic or what is the focus of this news? It emphasizes on the economic aspect and the effect of strike by the workers. Perhaps the missing information will be on the cause of the demonstration itself, the feeling of the workers regarding the laws that have been issued before, which is not supporting their position as workers. The next example is whose interests are served in the text and whose are not. Okay, let's see this example. If you're talking about ads, of course, the interest served is the product itself because it is to promote product. But it is about news which tells audience about an advertisement. So from the title, we can see that the writer gives positive diction by the word creative, and then it also shows the contradiction, sympathy protest. This is negative sense, and then the writer contradicts this with the positive sense. Shopee kembali dengan iklan kreatif ini. We can feel here that the writer is on the product's interest. And then of course the complete news reading will help you more to strengthen your opinion. The next question is, what does the text want you to? What does the text want you to is highly related to the author's purpose of writing a text. Here we can see that the general purpose of the writing of the text is simply pi. What is pi? This is to persuade, to inform, or to entertain. This is the general purpose of the writing of a text. Whether to persuade means to convince the reader of a certain point of view, or to inform, to teach or give information to the reader, or to entertain, to hold the attention of the reader through enjoyment. So we can see here, this kind of ads will have one of these purpose. For example, in the first ad here, can you guess what is the purpose? Yes, this is to persuade, to ask the reader to follow this point of view. And then how about the second one? Is this to entertain? Of course not. This is to inform, to give you direction about what you have to and not to do. So there might be a specific purpose beside this. The next question is, do you agree with the claims made in this text? Why or why not? Let's see some advertisement here. Of course, it is free for you whether to agree or disagree with the claim made by the producer. Of course, with reason. Just like in this ad, it says that this product is number one. And then in a second ad, people will agree and disagree with this, especially those of smokers. Perhaps they don't agree with this. And then ads number 3 also says about its product as number 1. And then the next ads about family planning. You may agree and disagree with this, with reason, of course. And then the last one, I'm sure the logic of these ads will make you, whatever your habit, that it is good and important, so people will tend to agree with this. The last one is, what is your final judgment towards the text. What is your final opinion about the text after you go through all the questions and you answer all the questions? Then you come up to one conclusion about the final judgment here. You may agree because of what, and you may disagree because of what reasons. So it should be fair for us to be pro or cons on a particular text, but what we need to have is reasoning, the logic or the thinking behind our reasons. Okay, those are all the questions or the critical reading questions that we can use to think or to read text critically. I hope that you can apply this in your daily text reading. See you again.